3:02 p.m. Time to start the Community Infrastructure District 1 meeting for Harris Ranch. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Bajan,
Here.
Haney,
Here.
Woodings,
Here.
all present.
First up on our agenda is approval of the minutes from March 7th, 2023. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine. Second,
We have a motion and a second. Clerk, will you call the roll?
Bajan,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Woodings,
Yes.
all present, all in favor, motion carries.
Next up is a discussion of the resolution HRCID 12-2023 from David.
All right. Well, good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the board. I am the Deputy City Treasurer for the City of Boise and the Administrator for the Harris Ranch Community Infrastructure District. There are two remaining agenda items that we'll present today. The first is an item for the board to approve a service agreement to contract with Gregory Gray Badger to provide appraisal services. The second item will not have a vote, and it will be an overview of the proposed fiscal 2024 budget presented by my colleague Zechariah Taylor. We're asking the board to approve the Gray Badger service agreement in order that the district can review the appraisal of two projects submitted to the district for purchase by the Harris Family Limited Partnership and Barber Valley Development. Both are land reimbursements or land purchases, that were used in the development of community infrastructure. Staff will be submitting these two requests to the board in October of this year. And before making any recommendation to the board, staff would like to seek the review of a qualified appraiser to confirm the purchase amounts. Mr. Gray Badger has 20 years of experience. Most recently, he was chief appraiser for the U.S. General Services Administration. A couple of notes, the two projects, one is for roadway purchases and the second is for a conservation easement. And he has both training and experience in both of these areas. We believe that Mr. Gray Badger is well qualified to perform the required work and recommend that you approve this resolution. Those are my prepared remarks. I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. Chair. David, how did we find Mr. Gray Badger? It sounds like he's uniquely qualified to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, Board Member Woodings, a lot of searching. That he is the seventh appraiser that we've looked at before finding someone. So
Excellent.
we did get a referral.
Very good. Well, Mr. Chair, I would move that we approve HRCID 12-2023, a resolution of the Board of Directors of the Harris Ranch Community Infrastructure District, approving a letter of engagement for real estate appraisal services with Gregory L. Gray Badger.
We have a motion, second.
Second.
Clerk, will you call the roll?
Bajan,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Woodings,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
Okay, next up is our budget workshop, which will be, I'm guessing, a team effort, but let's see what happens.
Yes. So, Mr. Chair, at this point, I'll turn it over to my colleague, Zechariah Taylor, and he'll be going over the 2024 budget. As I mentioned, we're not seeking an approval at this time. Instead, we'll seek guidance from you that will help inform the actual budget that will be presented at the July 13th budget public hearing. With that, I'll turn it over to Mr. Taylor.
All right, Mr. Chair, members of the board, good afternoon. Great to see you. Great to be here today. As David mentioned, my name is Zechariah Taylor. I'm the new Capital Markets and Operations Treasury Analyst and also a member of district staff helping prepare our new budget. So in today's budget workshop, we'll present the Harris Ranch Community Infrastructure District's number one proposed fiscal year 2024 budget. The purpose of today's meeting is to obtain your feedback and confirm the direction of the fiscal 24 budget. I will introduce the proposed budget, discuss the highlights, and then review the strategic focus and impact. Okay. The 24 budget follows a similar format as previous budgets for the Community Infrastructure District. Revenues and expenditures are divided out into three categories. administration, general obligation bonds, and the special assessment bond. The administration levy is based on property value. The general obligation category is based on property value as well, and the special assessment is based on property size or acreage. Since the purpose of the Community Infrastructure District is to accelerate the development of infrastructure, the vast majority of tax revenues are expended to pay for debt service for bonds that will purchase completed infrastructure development. So in section C, in line 6, you will see $13 million allocated for a new GO bond that is from previously approved budgets. As you are aware, the district has not issued general obligation bonds for fiscal 22 or 23, and this category reserves budget for when the district can issue those previously approved bonds. So before we review each of these revenue categories, we're just going to compare fiscal 24 with previous years. So this slide shows how the FY24 budget compares to previous years. A noticeable change to this budget is a decrease in the taxable value of the district. This creates no incremental revenue and reduces property tax revenue for the district in this upcoming fiscal year. Therefore, a new GO bond issuance is not proposed for the FY24 budget, and line 3 shows 0 revenue from bond proceeds. Consequently, there are no new infrastructure expenditures represented in line 8. When previously approved GO bonds are able to be issued, they will represent the miscellaneous expenditures for infrastructure improvements from previously approved bonds. We are now going to examine the revenue components of the 24 budget in detail by category. The first category is the administration section, and budgeted administrative costs are based on the service contracts between the district, the city, and third-party professional services. Compared to previous years, the FY24 budget shows higher revenues in line 3 and expenses in line 8 due to the ongoing judicial review related to the October 5th District Board resolutions. The revenues in line 3 come from potential draws on the advance from the City of Boise and the reimbursements from the developer. On the next slide, we'll address the portion of the administrative revenue that comes from property taxes in line 1. So by design of the CID Act, this allows for administrative charges not covered by bond proceeds to be levied on real property within the district. So we will be asking the board to consider recovering a portion of foregone administrative levy during our July budget meeting, as was completed last year in fiscal 23. The district has a foregone balance of $3,033 as compared to $3,209 last year. This year, the district can claim $192.12 of that foregone levy. While not large in amount in this individual year, if the district continues to claim a portion of the foregone levy each year, it will meaningfully impact the repayment of the advances from the City of Boise. Over a multi-year repayment of the $350,000 advance from the city, claiming the administrative levy will contribute an additional $45,000. Doing so will require a public hearing, which, as David mentioned, we will propose doing that during our budget hearing on July 13th. So next, we are going to review the general obligation bond category. And as we discussed at the beginning of this presentation, the district's purpose is to finance the construction of infrastructure improvements and projects within the district. General obligation bonds are the primary vehicle used to accomplish that task. Due to ongoing litigation, the district has not issued $13 million in general obligation bonds for infrastructure projects, which were approved in previous budgets. This is seen on line 12 as a carryover appropriation. Okay, and next, we're just going to cover the special assessment section. This year, the district intends to refinance the special assessment bond. This budget will include potential revenue from refinancing that bond and expenditures of debt service and proceeds to refinance the bond for the special assessment.
Zach, I have a quick question
Yes.
there. My recollection is that the refinancing of the bond saves some interest expense. Can you touch on that briefly?
Yes. So currently our special assessment has a 9% interest rate. And we have done the work with external partners, which we anticipate saving about 4% interest refinancing that bond.
Thank you.
Yes. Okay. And just to discuss the strategic focus and impact of the FY24 budget, as you can see in this graphic, this really shows the impact of falling property values this year. Ada County estimates the value of all properties in the district at $685 million. Last year's value was $730 million. So due to the fact that Ada County estimates that property values will decrease this year, the levy rate for other districts will rise. However, the district has a fixed levy that remains constant at 2.85 mils. Consequently, the district levy as a proportion of the overall property taxes should decrease compared to other property tax levies. That is the end of the prepared presentation and statements. I'll stand for any questions.
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
thank you. Do you like Zachariah or
Zach is fine.
Zach? Okay.
Yes.
Zach, so if we are only issuing previously approved GO bonds, does that mean that there will be no new projects submitted from the developer this year? Like what does that mean?
Yes, great question. I will defer that to David.
So Mr. Chair, Board Member Woodings, we do have already projects that have been submitted and have not yet been approved by the board. So the board will still hear those projects and make a decision as to whether to approve them. And when the district then has funds, then the district will be able to finance the purchase of those approved projects. In fact, even in the approvals of 2021, the board approved more projects than we had financing for. And that meant that there is essentially a queue of financings that need to be accomplished. So that does not prevent the district from receiving additional projects from the developer.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You needed direction on, you said a couple of things. One, I assume, is recovering the foregone administrative levy, which sounds like good policy to me based on what you outlined. Is there anything else that you need to hear from us in terms of direction as you prepare for July 13th?
No, it's really, this is a time for your feedback. If there's anything that you want us to analyze or review farther as we finalize the budget for preparation to present to you at the July 13th hearing. If there is not any feedback at this time, we will take this budget and then review everything and then just finalize it for presentation at that July 13th public hearing.
Great. I think one thing that at least some of the public would appreciate in that meeting, brief, 1 minute, 2 minute tops analysis of what their property tax bill is expected to look like. You touched on it here briefly, but because the mill rate is fixed, because home values have fallen, at least for this year, things are going to look a little bit different on the property tax statement. And I'm sure that's top of mind for many people, and I'm sure they'd love to have that touched on briefly.
Absolutely. So a property tax analysis.
Yeah. And I mean, not not hundreds of hours of work, but just a quick overview of what to expect on the next round of tax statements would be great.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Mr. Chair. Thank you, Zach. Appreciate it. I just wanted to double check. I understood with the foregone levy. You said over the lifetime, it'll be $45,000.
Yes. So over the lifetime of doing that, right now, each year it's a small amount, but it builds up over time.
Okay. How much time?
I'm
just curious. I mean-
Exact timeline to David here.
Yeah, so Mr. Chair, Board Member Haney, when I ran that analysis, the city has an advance to the district that is to be repaid over a period of 14 years. And so that is where you have that 45,000. And additionally, the reason why you have so much is that any foregone balances get incorporated into the base amount of the levy, and then that base amount grows. So that's why even though you have such a small amount, it contributes overall to the levy itself.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Any other questions, thoughts, feedback, or directions for Zach and David?
Mr. Chair, I would be interested to see what the value is of projects that we've already approved. So that we are able to compare that to the GO bonds that we've also approved for issuance. So we can kind of see what the difference might be, and because we also pay interest on those projects as well as they're sitting there in the queue.
Yes, we can absolutely prepare
Great.
that for you.
Thank you.
Yes. Anything else?
With nothing else, I'd take a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chair, I move we adjourn.
Second.
Clerk, will you call the roll?
Bajent,
Yes.
Haney,
Yes.
Wooding,
Yes.
all in favor, motion carries.
All right. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.